Welcome to the Leedz Edutainment Podcast, featuring in-depth interviews with people in hip-hop culture, based out of New England.
All right, how you doing?
I'm good. I can't complain, man. You know, I always say that if you do complain, nobody will listen anyway.
Yeah, my new thing is don't complain about limping in front of a cripple.
Right, exactly. And the whole world is crippled right now.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, man. We have mutual friend,
Hey,
C-Dog.
absolutely. That's my guy.
He's a good man.
Yeah, he's a very good man.
Yeah. On that note, I'd like to welcome everybody to Leedz Edutainment Podcast. A very special guest, rapper, producer, legendary, I should say Professor Daddy O.
Thank you,
Nice
sir.
to have you.
Thank you.
So how long have you known C-Dog?
How long we go back? Me and Doc go back to like the bottom of 2015.
Yeah.
Because
How'd you
at the
come?
bottom of 2015 is when me and my partner Lion decided to put together the label. And it was Lion's idea to reach out to Chuck D, who was a good friend of mine that I had never did any business with. You know, we just rapping friends, you know, we came up together, we toured together for years and years and years. And I knew that he had the platform, but I never really, at that time, I was a little confused about what releasing a record really would mean, right? So, you know, I go back to cassettes and records, right? So releasing a record meant releasing a record, and then you know, digital had came in, Spotify had entered, Apple Music had entered. So I didn't know what releasing a record it really meant. And once Lion made the connection with Chuck, of course, that connected me to Doc, and then I don't know how we started doing records together, some kind of way. I think he sent me something. And see, there's two producers that I work with. I work with a bunch of them, but there's two producers that I work with that, like, soon as they send it, I write it. Like, I'm not like that with everybody. Like, guys will give me something and it'll take me 6 years to write it. It'll come out dope, but it'll take me that long to do it. But when Doc, you know, every time Doc sent me something, right away, boom, send it back, send it back. And I remember one day, I was talking to Jahi, and Jahi said, "Yo, man, that be C-Dog doing your beats?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "How come it don't sound like when he do everybody else beats?" But we got a good. But yeah, the long answer to a short question, bottom of 2015, we connected.
So it's good to see good people connect. I like that.
Absolutely.
I always go back on these things. Always take it back to the beginning. You are from Brooklyn,
Yes, born and
born,
raised.
born and raised, and you basically started your music career in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could call it a music career. Yeah, technically.
You had a music career.
Rapping.
I would say
No,
you had
no,
a
no. I
music
mean, I did
career.
have a music career, but it's like, yeah, it was because I was still in Brooklyn. We we you know, we started off rapping on the street, you know, just I can't say like everybody else because it wasn't like everybody else, but we started off rapping on the street. And then Delight and I decided to put some kind of education on it. So we was like, I was living in, I think I was living in Brownsville at the time. And there's a center there called the BRC, which is still there. And you can go in BRC and book a room to do anything. You could teach karate classes, whatever, for free because it's a community center. We started doing these kind of music business classes, teaching people how to perform, talking to them about writer stuff and BMI stuff and all of that. And at the same time, we were formulating Stetsasonic. And around that time was when rap contests were really, really popular. You know, people, because, you know, competition, I always say competition is the cornerstone of hip hop anyway. So, you know, rap competitions were very popular, but they were, you know, they were prizes. Some of them were cash prizes. Some of them were like record deals and stuff. So we entered a few contests, we won a bunch, and then Mr. Magic, God bless the dead, put together like this borough-wide contest. It was going to be all 5 boroughs and culminate in Brooklyn and Coney Island. We won all the semifinals, and then we went on to win. Why it says it on the new record on Notes of Impression. We won first, second, and third prize. Like we beat everybody. Like there was like 80 something groups, killed them all, and that's how we ended up getting the record deal. So that was kind of the beginning. I never wanted to be a producer. It was never in my head. Just so happened that when I formed this unit, DBC and Prince Paul went, and they were already producers. They already had equipment and everything. So the way I became a producer basically is DBC used to live in Middletown. He used to come to my crib in Brownsville so we could rehearse and everything over the weekend. So, he would come Friday night and stay till like Sunday night or whatever. And so when he used to come to my crib, he used to make beats. But when he used to fall asleep, I used to get on his equipment. And that's how I learned how to use a drum machine. And I started putting 2 and 2 together. And then once we got into the studio, I just was, like thrown out. My mind was blown just watching Prince Paul work and just like looking at Paul and how he does things and the way he do records and all of that. And I picked it all up.
Right. I want to go back even further because you were born before hip hop.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I got a chance to see 3. I got a chance to see 3. 3, I think what I call the emergence of 3 musical, I guess we could call them genres. So I got to see punk birth, I got to see the birth of disco, and I got to see the birth of hip hop.
You talk a lot about inspiration coming from Kool Moe Dee.
Right.
Talk about him as an MC because I feel like he doesn't get the
no, nobody. I tell my friends this all the time. This is the way I tell my friends. You don't know Kool Moe Dee. Like right. you guys know Go See the Doctor. You guys know Wild Wild West. That's records. Right. Y'all don't know who this guy is. You have no friggin' idea who this guy is. And then it's unfortunate that when it did seem like a battle between him and LL Cool J, it comes down to a battle of the recorded medium, right? Which LL was probably a little better at. I'm not gonna say he was incredibly better at, but he was probably a little better at it. A little more versed, and then in a different space, right? Because that Def Jam space was a really dope creative space for hip hop, right? You got to think Public Enemy, Beasties, you know what I mean? So so that's different. So that ends up being unfortunate because when people say, "Oh, Kool Moe Dee," then they think about that and they don't know Moe Dee. Like Moe Dee was the guy who really made you want to be the rapper, like not just no disrespect to Busy or any of them guys, but not just the nursery rhyme guy, not just the guy that, to throw your hands in the air. Like after a while, we all developed that. We all could rock a party after a while. But in terms of like just being that guy, it's similar. I don't really have another example. So I have to say it's similar to a singer hearing Donny Hathaway or hearing maybe a Luther Vandross and knowing, wow, that's the kind of notes I want to hit. I want to be able to do those kind of runs. I want to be able to do that kind of thing. Moe Dee had that in hip hop and rap. He was that. And there was only one guy close, and that was this kid Silver Fox. But that was it. Like there was nobody even close to Moe Dee in terms of what it did. Later on, people would say DLB came close, and all of that. And I think he did come close, but nobody has ever, in my opinion, reached that pinnacle of MC. And I think it's proven if you go back to Enjoy Records and you listen to the new rap language again, just listen to the new rap language again and think about what year that came out and be like, Scott was actually flipping this style then. Now, yes, granted, he had some dope people in his group. So Sunshine and Special K actually kept up as group members. They kept up, but they weren't Moe Dee. Like Moe Dee is it. Like for me, that's just me. You know what I mean?
And his concepts, great positive concepts for that time. You know what I mean?
Oh
It
yeah,
was like that type of the way he conceptualized songs, I think, and the
yeah,
message he gave is just so overshadowed in
oh
today's
yeah,
culture. But real
oh yeah,
positive stuff, man.
yep, absolutely. I mean, all that stuff. Yes, we can a whole bunch of that stuff that like people didn't. But you got to understand that's a period which probably one of the reasons I don't really love the internet. I like it. But probably one of the reasons to move toward loving the internet is what I call the archival reason, right? Because back in the day, you know, I mean, where did you archive things, right? And if it was records, you stayed on the shelf possibly 6 weeks and then you was out. You was out of Tower Records, you was out of Coconuts, you was out of all those places. Even underground shops you was kind of out of, right? But now with the internet, there's an archive of stuff. Like if you go to my Bandcamp, you get everything that I made from the time that I started making it, right? And so it's the same situation with that period of time that is my at least my record influence with hip hop. Um, those things now can be accessed. The Enjoy records, the old Sugar Hill stuff, all of that kind of stuff, because it happened so quick. And then by the time Rappers Delight hit, everybody was kind of following that mode or chasing that tail, so to speak. And so a lot of the things that say Treacherous had did and a few other people, like a lot of people don't even know Treacherous 3 made an album. And this is amongst like Cold Crush never made an album. Cold Crush made 2 songs. You know what I mean? Like they was the only guys out of that crew that really, even no disrespect, even when Flash and them made an album as Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, it was a compilation. It really wasn't an album that they put together. Now, Treacherous 3 actually made an album. Sugar Hill Gang made an album as well. But I'm just saying that even the Sugar Hill Gang album was like all over the place, half singing, half rhyming. You know what I mean? Like Treacherous 3 actually made a rap album. So a lot of that gets overshadowed. But again, I mean, with the internet, people can go back and grab some of that stuff and see the vibrance of it.
Yeah, great stuff. You mentioned competition is the cornerstone of hip hop. You said that earlier. You think it's always you're obviously talking about the battle mode, or do you think it's just a competitive nature that MCs need to have?
Well, I believe we inherited it from our origin, right? So hip hop, a lot of people don't know, has a nonviolent origin. I know that sounds weird, but it's actually 100% true. So what happened was Bambaataa and a few others that were in the very beginning were part of gangs.
Right.
Bambaataa was part of, I think, the Spades, and a few other guys was part of other gangs. And the gangs, mostly in the Bronx, but they were all over the boroughs, but mostly in the Bronx, the gangs in the Bronx made a truce. They didn't want to fight anymore. There was some other things going on in the Bronx with the slumlords and the burnings and all of that kind of stuff. It was critical mass, right? So they made this truce to stop fighting. I believe that competitive energy was transferred into 3 things: DJing, graffiti writing, and breakdancing. And so the competition began mostly on the dance floor and with sound systems, right? So cats like, Smokey, Battle Herc, and, all of those kind of things. And they bring their Disco King Mario was there, like all, people would bring their equipment out. Sometimes it was about the amount of equipment that you had, and sometimes it was about the skills that you had, and sometimes it was about both, right? And the breakdancers had this, incredible competition like from the beginning, and so did the graffiti writers, right? They started making these paintings, and then like the whole Wild Style movie is about that. How people are painting, but then other guys are writing on top of it, or even more competitive and more to the spirit of competition, not writing on top of it, just writing something better on another wall or on another train, right? And so that energy was there. I always tell people this, they get mad, but it's true. The rapper came last. We was an after. We wasn't even part of that whole thing. Trust me, on a daddy-o level, I could make fights for rap not being hip hop. Now I don't want to go there, but I can because we did not start with us. We were in addition to the thing that was already going on. Flash told me out of his mouth, he's DJing at a party. He puts the mic down on a table. Cowboy picks up the mic. The rest is history, right? And he's doing that, just accompanying Flash. That's DJing. So, but I believe that competition started there. Of course, when we started talking, but even before we started talking on records, of course, when we started talking, meaning rapping, of course, that was probably going to be the 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 epitome of competition because you can hear it and see it. Everything else was one or the other. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, you can kind of hear and see the DJ, but it was really more about the order. Yeah, you could kind of hear and see the break dances, but it was really more about the visual. And you really couldn't hear unless you're gonna listen to spray paint cans. You really couldn't hear the graffiti writer. It was only see it. Us, it was different because you could hear it and see it. And so we, now we, is it? I've seen writers talk about it being part of playing the dozens, a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But the kind of competition that the rappers ended up having really is and that's why the rappers pulled us into the music business, right? Hip hop, meaning hip hop would never been in the music business with just painting, dancing, and DJing. The rappers pulled us into the music business because the rappers began to mimic the battles between Little Richard and Jerry Lee Lewis. The battles between Al Green and Motown, because all of that stuff was slight competition. And then, our godfather was the king of competition. James Brown was the king of competition. He was the anti everything. So he was bucking Berry Gordy, he was bucking Stax, he was bucking the Muscle Shoes sound, he was bucking all of that on a very competitive level. Like, I am the king, y'all can't even touch it. And we come out of that because of what James was doing on record is very similar to what DJs end up doing with loops, because it was the same. The same thing over and over. Nobody was really doing that. People were doing all these changes. They wasn't doing steady grooves. They wasn't doing vamps. And so we got a lot of our stuff came from James Brown. That's why some of the biggest records now in hip hop or rap, whatever you want to call it, some of the biggest records in this genre have James Brown written all over.
Yeah. I want to go to Stetsasonic. Back to Stetsasonic. Mm-hmm. So you win these competitions. Now, you would, at this point when you win in the competitions, do you have the band or is it just MCing with a DJ?
So, no, when we entered these competitions, it was 3 guys. It was Delight, Daddy-O, and Wise.
Right.
What happened was we had pulled together, so DBC, Fuquan, and Prince Paul was still part of the unit. But me being the perfectionist that I am, or semi-perfection, whatever, me being the guy that I am, right? Me being I really like asshole more than anything else. Me being the asshole that I am, I didn't let those guys on stage because they didn't know the routines. So I wasn't gonna chance it. They were there. They were there when we won. But I wasn't gonna chance it because they didn't know the routines. When Wise came to the group, he had everything that every human beatbox could do, but more. And that's why he called himself the human mix machine, because he was doing scratches with his mouth. Nobody was doing scratches. He was doing a whole bunch of other stuff. He could do everything Buff did, God bless the dead. He could do everything Dougie did, but he could also do other things. So Delight and I created these routines around Wise, and we used to go around winning all the contests just with Wise. And so when it came down to it, that was what we did. We did this routine that we do with Wise, and we won the contest. The band concept, I always tell people this. The band concept is not rocket science. It's not, it's not this big planned out, it's not that. The band concept comes from the beginnings of the recorded medium. In the beginning of the recorded medium, not many people had money to make instrumental vinyl. And we definitely didn't have it. I only remember one group doing it. I remember Jam Master Jay, God bless his dead, doing it. They had a company called Europa Disc, and they used to press instrumental vinyl for Run DMC to perform. But most of the time, if you look now, if you go back and get some 12 inches, especially like Profile, Tommy Boy, some of those 12 inches, there's not even instrumentals on the B side. They're what they call TV tracks, meaning they're instrumentals with the choruses because those guys made those. So when they perform, they could turn it over. The chorus would still be on it, but then they could live rap on top of it. So most people didn't do it. We happen to have the benefit of making all our music in-house. So most of that music in the very beginning, before I started producing, was just made by Prince Paul and DBC. And I looked around at the light and said, yo, how in the hell are we going to duplicate this on stage? And he said, D, we just take all that shit up there with us. And that's where the hip hop band comes from. Because we just took everything on the stage, the drum machine, everything. And then later on, Bobby Simmons, who was a really good friend at the time already, was the backup DJ for Red Alert at the Latin Quarter. And Ghost Stetson had already came out. That's not Bobby on the record for Ghost Stetson, right? And that's a whole other story. But anyway, that's not Bobby on the record. But when we came to the Latin Quarter to perform, which we would play almost every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, Bobby said, yo, man, you should try Ghost Stetson with the live drums. And anybody that knows the Latin Quarter knows it's really small. So I was like, and the stage is like up and teeny. And I was like, where am I gonna do the drums? He said, I'll just go right down there on the dance floor and do it from there. And I was, my idiot self, I was like, let's try it. And we tried it. It went off like a charm. It's crazy. And so from then on, we were just like, yo, we're taking these drums. So now we already had a drum machine on stage. We already had turntables on stage. We already had a human beatbox on stage. We already had a sampler on stage, actually 2 samplers on stage. And now we added the drummer. And the drummer kind of sealed the deal as what it felt like to be a hip hop band. Because by the time it was all said and done and we were going to end up touring, now we could do the drum riser. You know what I'm saying? So we do the drum riser with Bobby in the middle, Paul over here with the sampler and the turntables, DB over here with the keyboard and the sampler. You know what I mean? So we were able to do it like that.
Yeah, adding drums to a live performance, hip hop, is a whole nother level. If it's done correctly, it can easily go bad and overpower the whole set. You gotta get a sound guy that can get it right. You'll drown your vocals real quick. I saw Cypress Hill. Last week, and they have full percussion, oboe on drums and bongos and all types of stuff, and it just added another level of intensity to the performance. They've been doing that for a while, but
they have.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
it was like wow, and it was mixed correctly. And it was great. Man.
That's great.
Yeah. So 3 albums with Stetsasonic in the beginning.
So 3 albums. So 80. I want to say 85, first record, On Fire. First single, 84, first record, 85, On Fire.
Damn.
88 is In Full Gear. Yep. And then by 91, we ended up doing Blood, Sweat, No Tears. Yep.
So how did the group members change over this period?
So same unit for, Bobby wasn't involved with On Fire. He wasn't there. So the 6, it's the 6 of us with On Fire. We make On Fire. Then Ghost Stetson comes out. Like I said, that story I said. So when we start touring, we grab Bobby. So he kind of becomes the seventh member because it was already six of us. Kind of becomes the seventh member, and we began to tour with him. By the time we go in for gear, there's seven of us now, and now Bobby's there, and Bobby's got musical talent, and he's helping produce and all of those particular things. And we're able to do some of those things. At the end, I want to say end or near end of and for gear, Fuquan leaves the group. So when we make Blood, Sweat, No Tears, we make Blood, Sweat, No Tears. Everybody, it's now six of us again, with Fuquan gone and Bobby there. And now 33 years later, with the Here We Go Again album, there's only five because DB clocked out, I don't know, somewhere about 4 years ago. DB just was like, I'm done. I don't want to do it no more. So now there's five of us. Which
Was Prince
was
Prince Paul on all three albums?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul's always with us. And that might increase. We might. I've been talking about adding members as we got a couple of hints on the album already. So yeah.
In other genres of music, keeping a band together can be very challenging.
Yeah.
A lot of different personalities, a lot of, it's a lot going on. How challenging was it to keep that group together?
Oh, I think it's still challenging. Stetsasonic is, I say it on one of my, I say it on the Cypher record. I said, anomaly. I really believe that. We're very much, not to try to, this ain't got nothing to do with bragging, because it don't make it dope that we're in a class by ourselves, right? That it's not always dope. But Stetsasonic is in a,
Yep. Froze. Like I said, keeping a group together can be challenging. How was the challenge? What were the challenges with you in Stetsasonic?
I think in the very beginning, it was my, maybe I could call it attrition. Like I said, I like saying the asshole. Just me being so dedicated to what I wanted to do, right? So a lot of people don't know it, but Stetsasonic went through like mad members prior to you end up seeing the final 6 and 7, right? And Cats was in the group, but then Cats would get kicked out of the group because they didn't come to practice. And I used to like to practice every day. In the first beginning, like in the very beginning, it was that kind of stuff. So I think the beginning of the challenge was, how dedicated can we be? Like, how dedicated can we be? I think along as time went on, some of those challenges came from, and this is what I was saying about being an anomaly, because we're way too familiar with being overlooked. Like just even now, like, you look at hip hop history, just way too familiar with being overlooked, right? So that becomes a challenge within itself because, it's tough to keep guys going if ain't nobody checking for you and you're doing the right thing. You're making the right records. Your peers are slapping you on the back. You see people copying you. You see all of that. But then, it seems like somebody else is getting the fruit of your labor and you really not picking up any fruit of your labor. And that becomes a challenge. And so then, cats got to make, hard, tough decisions I'm not saying that we started doing it to pay our bills. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if now you're in the middle of this kind of bill paying, keeping a family mode, and this thing ain't paying your bills, then you got to kind of figure out, well, how much time can I give this thing? You know what I mean? Or do I give this thing up, period? Like, do I, whatever. It also became a challenge when Paul and I stepped into the producer life, because there's no other way to put it, we kind of excelled a little further on that music business side than the other guys that were just band members, right? Not really doing any other things. So that became a challenge. And then I think creatively, even to this day, I think we're getting a little better at it and taking a break, which is I hear might be we might need a Guinness Book of Records for this because I think they say in recorded history there's never been a 33-year break. Not even the Stones, not Steely Dan, like nobody, right? But I think this break that we've taken is helping. But yeah, there was all kinds of creative challenges toward the end. I would say when I say toward the end, I don't mean the end because we're not ending, we're not finishing, but to like by that blood, sweat, no tears time, you could feel, and I love that record, but you could feel how fragmented it feels. Like the Paul records felt like Paul records, and the Daddy-O records felt like Daddy-O records, like the DB records felt like DB records. Like in the very beginning, you couldn't tell who the hell was making what. You didn't know, because there was so much, there was an ill collaboration type of thing going on, like Paul and Foucault putting together the beat for Sally, but then me finishing it off, or Delight coming up with the idea for Talking All That Jazz, but then Paul bringing Donald Newkirk in to play on. Like it was just, we were doing these ill collaboration kind of things where if you look at the first album, we all share equal production credit, everything. Then by the second album, you're starting to see individual names as producers. And then by the third album, it's really like fragmented. So I think probably the biggest challenge. And like I said, even to this day, I just think we argue better, right? To this day is creative.
There's an argument that says having group and different opinions and all that makes the music better. As a solo artist in a group now, you've been a solo artist and you've also been in a group. What do you think?
Sometimes. I don't know if I can 100% agree with that. Off subject, but on subject, like I think Nas did a very special thing with Illmatic. But I think what made that work was Nas. Right. And what I mean is, they say that's the beginning, the real beginning of the multi-producer album. Right. And I think the story is Large Professor didn't have the time to do it all, or one of them didn't have the time to do it all. So now Faith Newman and them brought in Pete Rock and Premier and all the rest of them, and they put it together. Moby, I don't know if Moby had, but put together the rest of the producers and put it together. But I'm still a huge fan of records that could be produced by one producer. So I like when I see Alchemist do a whole Larry June record or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that, to me, that's dope because I think that there's a vision there. So I don't know. I mean, I think with us, that might be true. And then that sounds super duper selfish, but with us, it might be true because of the elements that you get with all of us being in the room, right? And you get a lot of dope stuff from all of us just being in the room and doing potluck on the music. But I don't know if that's true like with everybody else. And I'm still a super duper fan of like one producer. I've only been able solo wise to do one record like that, but I do have it in my plans. I've got a whole bunch of producers lined up that I'm like, it's just gonna be like, I want to do a record with Chrome. It's just me and Chrome. I don't want nobody else. Because I know he's got a whole nother. And so why would I do a record with Chrome and have somebody else on the record? Like it just doesn't make sense to me, right? So so I had another long answer to a short question, but I say yes and no. Yes and no.
Fair enough. So did you start? So you start producing while Stetsasonic is still making records.
Yes.
But you ended up producing. If I read this correctly, you produced for some pretty big acts. Mary J, Queen Latifah, Chili Peppers, B-52s.
Yeah. I mean, what happened?
How did that happen?
Oh, another not rocket science element, right? Lisa Cortez, who's making movies now. Shout out to Lisa because she just produced that Little Richard documentary. Lisa Cortez was part of we was managed by Rush, which is basically the Def Jam people, but it was Rush Artist Management, right? And Lisa comes up with an idea one day and says to Russell, listen, why don't we take the guys that are in the groups as producers and get them some extra money? So we could get the Bomb Squad some money. We could get Prince Paul some money. We could get Daddy-O some money. Who else was producing? I can't remember, but it was a few of us, right? And so that's what Lisa did. She goes out and she begins to start farming out all of this work. I ended up producing the alternative acts because that was close to my heart. I grew up listening to the B-52s. I grew up listening to the Chili Peppers. Like that first Chili Pepper album with Mommy Daddy on it is still probably my favorite Chili Pepper record. Like I'm way earlier than the stuff that people know. You know what I mean? And so when that stuff came in, Sonic Youth, They Might Be Giants, when that stuff came in to work on, I was the one to snag it because nobody else even knew those acts or wanted to be with those acts. As far as like Mary and Third World, I mean, you know, some of it was luck of the draw, some of it was being in the right place at the right time. But I, I don't. I'm not sure if I have a genre of music that's my favorite. I'm not really sure. I'm trying, but I don't know. So I don't turn down music. Like I you know, one day I put my it's ill because Google Music turned into YouTube Music, right? But prior to that, most people don't know this, but I'm a techie. So years ago, Google and Apple used to talk to each other. When iTunes first phoned home, anything that was on your iTunes was loaded into the Google Cloud. So I got tons and tons of music on YouTube Music, right? They switched it over. But if I put my YouTube Music, which I don't know, 20,000, so I don't know how many songs, a lot of songs. If I put that just on shuffle, you'd be weirded out because it'll be Kenny Chesney and then Rage Against the Machine next, and then some dub plate from Jamaica, right? So I never really down music. Like I just didn't. So that's how I ended up working with people. It was just the willingness to. It didn't matter to me in terms of the genre. You know what I mean? I just love music.
Right. You also, I read here, you make a business executive move from 1994 to 98, become the senior director at MCA Records.
Again,
Correct?
not rocket. Yeah, again, not rocket science. I'm kind of, you know, walking the walk, talking the talk, doing what I do, and get a call out of the blue. When I say out of the blue, I really mean out of the blue from Hank Shop. And he says, hey man, Zach Horowitz wants me to go in and run the black division of MCA. But I told him he wanted me to come in there by myself. I'm not going in there by myself. So he calls this meeting and he says, you know, I got you. I got Jeff Trotter. I'm getting Ashley Fox. I'm bringing y'all with me. If he really wants to do this deal, he'll do this deal with my people. And Hank always appreciated my ear. You know what I mean? And so that's how I ended up doing A&R, which worked and didn't work because I'm an artist advocate. So I always tell people, if you remember that damn Ice Cube video where they robbing the store and Ice Cube jumps over there and he's with the robbers, that's the way I was at the record company. It didn't work out for me too well because I wasn't a yes man. And I used to say to them, I thought you brought me in here to tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? It used to be weird because they would play something for me and I would be like, it was too many missing parts. To me, it was weird, right? Because the A&R department is with the artist and works with the artist and finishes the record, right? But then the promotion department and the marketing department and the publicity department, which is three, it's not one like they try to do on the internet. They don't hear the record until it's finished. And I never thought that was fair. I was like, why are we making these records? Not to say that they're going to have any effect, not to say that the marketing people or the publicity people or the promotion people are creatives in that right. Not to say that they're going to tell me, the A&R guy, how to make records, but at least they could be there while I'm making the record to even say to me, yo, daddy, that's not going to work. You know, I hear what you're trying to do. It's dope, but it's not going to work. But these three are really working. I'm working with the damn artist. The artist better have some more ideas. I might scrap those three, add three more. What do y'all think about those? They're not telling me if they dope records or not. It's just what they're going to market. And that was where I was falling into discrepancy with the record company because I was so pro artist. Another thing, you know, the A&R guy is the first line of the check. You know, it's the first line of the check. And when they ain't pay people, I was screaming on them. They thought I was going to be on their side. I'm like, yo, this guy got to feed his family. You can't promise him a check this week and then tell him it's delayed. And I'm arguing with the record company, you know, and they looking at me like, man, you know, why you ain't just basically lie to him or do something else, like be on our side. And I was like, but the experience of doing A&R and working for a record companies, I mean, there was so much value in that. Like, I can't even front on the value. You know what I mean?
Right.
But,
and it's pretty much a forgotten job not these days, right?
oh yeah, nobody does A&R anymore except Rick Ross. That's it.
Ross.
Jeff
Yeah.
Ross. That's it.
Yeah. From MCA, you go to Motown.
Well, I work with Motown. I didn't stay at Motown. Kedar was up there. I put Kedar Massenberg in the business. Kedar was up there. So I was helping him work with like his artists. I was mostly for Motown doing a lot of the artist development, you know, kind of getting the acts ready for the stage. Working a little bit with the A&R side, but not as much. KK was up there. KK's still my man. KK was doing a whole bunch of the A&R stuff, but I was doing a lot of the thing. And so it wasn't only Motown. It was a few other companies, Polygram and a few other companies that I was working with, like on the artist development level. I always say there's only two other guys I think, and this is not a brag. This is just, I think, factual. There's only two other guys I know. Maybe there's more. There's only two other guys that I know that can do what I do when it comes down to artist development. One is Dougie Fresh and one is Michael Bivins. But I don't think anybody else can do what we do in terms of an artist walks in and we tell them, we listen to what they do and help them enhance what they are. We don't tell them anything. We just say, throw that away. That part of you is whack. You think it's dope, it's not. And we're all that straightforward. Dougie's that straightforward. Biv is that straightforward. And I'm that straightforward. So, and at the time, I was inheriting a lot of business because those two were very busy doing bigger things.
What do you think is your most biggest success story with artist development?
It depends. I mean, I could say De La Soul because they came through us. You know what I mean? So I could say De La. Latifah's a good choice there. And then like you gotta remember, Little Kim and Foxy Brown both started in my basement. So I guess pound for pound, maybe Foxy. I like the way everything ended up turning out. I mean, I know she became a dickhead, and that's a whole nother story. But what she ended up doing was great. And to this day, like Inga is not gonna go on stage and not sound like her records, like a whole bunch of other shit that I see some of them do. So maybe Foxy.
You said De La came through you. Talk about that.
So the name De La Soul comes from a B-side of the first Stetsasonic single called Rock De La Stet. And so they call themselves De La Soul. De La Soul were friends of Prince Paul, and they used to just hang in the studio and watch us make records, right? And Paul was a producer, still is. you know, can't stop his creative juices from flowing no matter what the hell he does. And so one day he comes to me with this tape and he puts on this record, this plug tuning record. And I'm listening. And he's very confused because he's thinking it's not good or whatever. I'm like, yo, this shit is a smash. This is crazy. And I actually had 3 deals on the table for De La Soul in 2 days. Tommy Boy just moved quicker than everybody else.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, they learned everything. You know, the person to tell that story is Maceo, because Maceo really tells that story really well about how Stetsasonic groomed De La Soul and all of those particular things. But yeah, they I got a thing I want to do. I'm working with my man on. I don't know when I'm gonna get it done, but you know how people do family trees, like the family tree. I want to do a Daddy-O family tree because in that family tree is D'Angelo, Erica Badu. Like there's so many people because I brought Keto in the business, and then there's like all the stuff that I got from putting Un in the business, and then because I put Jacob in the business, there's Cameron, and there's even this thing Cam and Mace is doing. It's like it has its roots in me. You know what I mean? And I want to do that because there's a lot of things that I've done. And I don't know what I want to do with it, but I just do want to like do that. It won't be as impressive as a Quincy Jones family tree.
Yeah, well,
That's
that's a tough one to be.
Another story.
I don't
Yeah,
think
that's a tough one.
think anyone's as impressive as a Quincy Jones family tree.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, man, I want to do that. Like I have a that's one of my ideas.
Let's talk about the self-destruction movement. Very important.
So very in the 90s, we out there all doing our thing. You know, hip hop is getting big. We touring, you know, we starting to feel ourselves, you know what I mean? And there's a concert that happens and the young brother gets killed. And it's the first time that has happened, right? You know, there have been no, prior to this, there's been no stampedes, there's been no trouble. Yeah, there's been fights and stuff at small clubs like the Latin Quarter, the Rooftop, whatever, but that's all local New York stuff. You know, I'm sure Boston had their own little, I'm sure everybody had their own little, you know what I mean? But it's nothing like when the concerts happen, ain't no drama because everybody's just there to have fun, whatever. So this young brother gets killed and the press just jumps on our back. KRS-One had already had Stop the Violence movement anyway. And so he came up with an idea. I always preface this by saying, as much as I love KRS and everybody knows my love for him, I cannot leave out Ann Carly and Nelson George on this because they were instrumental in making this thing happen. And they pulled together a bunch of us and we do basically raps, We Are the World. Right. And it's a record called Self-Destruction. And we do it and it's successful and all of those things. You know, fast forward to probably 2019, even though I had a dream for it prior to that, I began an effort to start putting together a movement that I call Stop Self-Destruction because I realized that energy could be used again. But then I also realized that we're not just dealing with violence, right? We're dealing with an opioid crisis. We're dealing with, like I say this all the time, you never thought you would say suicide and hip hop in the same sentence. It's just hip hop was always about life. It was never about depression. You know, hip hop started off with, you know, just real high ideals, high aspirations of living and all of those particular things. And then we develop into some other things, right? So the first thing I did was reach out to my favorite producers. I reached out to Pete Rock. I reached out to Large Professor. I reached out to DJ Premier. I reached out to Easy Mo B. And I reached out to KG from Naughty by Nature. And they gave me heat. So I'm sitting on that right now. Like I'm sitting on my Premier beat is so fucking great. Snoop shit is cool. The Nas shit is cool. I got a crazy, I'm telling you, it's bananas, right? My Lord Professor shit's crazy. My Moe Dee shit's crazy. My P-Rock shit, all that's crazy. And then Rottweiler gave me heat, like KG gave me. So I'm sitting on that. I go and do a small deal, which we still have an affiliation with a company called We Are Opposition in Canada, just for some promotion, some promotional kind of stuff, which we haven't really kind of kicked it off. I do form a relationship through Chuck, because Chuck is helping me with the project, Chuck D, Public Enemy. I do form a relationship through Chuck with Toby and Wigway. We make a record, which I'm still waiting for him to deliver, with me, Toby, Chuck, Big Crit, West Side Boogie that's down with Eminem, and the girl Flojane, the basketball player. But the record's not finished. And so I'm now beginning to, with my partner, I got a guy that works with me. His name is Azim Latif. And he's kind of like the president of the movement, the Stop Self-Destruction movement. Just kind of formulating and extrapolating how to get this done. Part of it, I don't have it all figured out yet. I don't want to use that music that I have from those established producers on, no disrespect, but on unestablished acts. I don't see the correlation in that. But we are thinking of some other things that we could do, like possibly contests and things like that, just to kind of steer people, in the right way. I'm not trying to make this do-gooder preacher type of record. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to do-gooders or preachers. I do want this time around to be able to get young people and maybe some of the classic people, but I'm not using nobody from the original record, maybe Chuck, that's it, to bleed their pain. Because I want to see young people talk about what it feels like to want to kill yourself. So I've always given an example of, like, I want to take a guy like T Grizzly, right? And give him a scenario. I want to be the professor, right? And I want to give out, assignments. And I want to say, listen, this is your assignment. You on the block. It's about 6 of y'all. Somebody comes through. They light it up. Your man gets hit 7 times. The ambulance, this never happens, but the ambulance happens to be close, right? You get in the ambo with him. They pumping his chest. They trying to close up holes and all of that. And then you get to the, emergency where they drive, taking him through. They don't let you in, of course. And you pacing. You don't know if you're going to live or die. Give me 8 bars of that. I take a girl like Glorilla. Say, hey, you meet this guy online. Seems to be real. Seems to be all right. Everything seems to be cool with him. You know what I mean? And then one thing leads to another. Y'all end up getting together. Next thing you know, you take a pregnancy test. You're pregnant. But you're in the middle of your career and he married. You go to the abortion clinic because that's what you think you want to do. But even when you're there, you're starting to have second thoughts. Give me 8 bars of that.
Just 8, huh?
Yeah. Because I gotta make a whole, because if you that dope, you're good. You could do it at 8 if you're that dope. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Same situation. I take another guy, like, say, make it Conway. I take a guy like Conway the Machine, right? And I say, you and your mom's is real cool, but she ends up getting into a car accident, right? Your mom's never took drugs her whole life. She hardly drank, except maybe a little wine and social function or whatever. But because she gets into this car accident, they put her on these opioids, right? And she's using these opioids to cope, right? You always go by, check her out, make sure everything is doing. It's Friday. I made it a working scenario. He's not really a working guy like that, but it's Friday. You get off of work. You stop by your mom's favorite Jamaican restaurant. You pick her up the curry gold, oxtails, whatever it is. that she really wants to eat. You know, you got a key to the crib, but you know, that's how cool y'all are. You go in, your mom's is dead on the floor from an opioid overdose. Give me 8 bars of that. And that's my self-destruction record. Like that's the way this record is gonna be. Like I've talked to the rappers that I've talked to. I'm like, if you can't make me cry, I really don't want to hit a rhyme.
Damn.
Because the bottom line is that this is what we missing, right? Hip hop, and I could talk about this a million years, but the coolest thing about the introduction of hip hop on record is the vulnerability. Chuck D saying, radio suckers never play me. That you feel that. Slick Rick in The Moment I Feared, like all of that. Coolio and Gangsta's Paradise. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of vulnerability in it. Yes, we had a bunch of braggadocio, but even the guy that was the biggest in braggadocio made a record called I Need Love. So
When you say that, go ahead, finish.
No, go ahead. What'd you say?
I was gonna say it's funny because the first hip hop song that really grabbed me, not that I heard, that grabbed me was Ice Cube, Bird in the Hand.
Right.
And that was a story like you're talking, like you're trying to produce for this record about,
exactly
someone with no diploma that needs to sell drugs. He's got a kid,
yeah.
you know what I mean? I was like, wow, I had never heard anything like that up until that point.
Right. So
blew my mind.
I feel like we're missing it. And then when we talk ideologically about stopping self-destruction, we got to go deep and head on into these issues, right? We can't sugarcoat around addiction. We can't sugarcoat around the ideology of depression and suicide. We can't sugarcoat around the other side of murder, because everybody talk about busting their gun. You know what I mean? Everybody's talking about, but what's I did a record. Part of what I want to do on record started with, I wrote this song called Powder Burn. And I did one video. I did this whole album, which I want to turn into a play, but I did this whole album. I only did one video from that whole album, which is so unlikely, right? But it's called Powder Burn. And the premise of this record is that the murder game ain't what it seemed like. And the whole record, I'm sitting there talking about how I felt after I pulled the trigger. And we could have been brother and kin on a slave ship. Like, he got a mother like me. Like, what the hell did I just do? Because nobody ever talks about what it feels like on the other side of that. And that's when I think we could reverse some of the crap that's going on, is that people have that. Because a lot of it, and this is no disrespect to the guys that are doing it, but it's just true. I heard a Future record the other day that said, I'm fried. He talking about how high he is on perk and shit. You know what I mean? Who knows? Maybe it's danceable, maybe it's whatever. But the bottom line is that, to me, that's glorifying drugs. And if I think about the kids, see, I don't think about the kids that have good parents. And I don't think about none of that. I think about all the kids that are borderline. I think about all the kids that are foster kids. I think about all the kids that got no damn role model. They don't know what they want to do next. They're not really clear on it. Nobody's giving them no ideas, whatever. And then they possibly are in public school too. A whole other story, right? So when this music, especially with these headphones, become their only source of any kind of redemption, that's why they all walking around. These kids on the mind. They all, it's almost like when older people see it, they look retarded. And I know you're not supposed to use that word, but I'm always. You know what I'm saying? But they like, what the hell is going on? Like, you walking around, and this is all that they have, right? This is all that they have. So I'm not saying we got to feed them a Bible verse in every lyric, or we got to feed them the laws of Ma'at in every verse, or we got to feed them the Holy Quran in every verse. But we're at a point of critical mass right now where some of these guys don't know the difference between fiction and reality. And that's getting a little scary when it comes down to young people. Older people, we could do whatever the hell we want. We could walk right away from it and do something else. We almost actors in the game. Right? Play a gangster and we go home and pet a baby. But for younger people, especially when they in the inner city, and now it's suburbs damn near as bad as the inner city. For younger people, that line between fiction and reality is becoming more and more blurred. But the one thing that is a constant in their life still to this day is that music. And so if we could just talk about it. I mean, I have a forum I want to put together. My team is working on it now called Grandmamas and Gangsters, where we go into a city and I want to do 8 to 12, and I want to do everybody from the grandmama to the gangster. I want to get the highest level gangster as I can. Biggest Crip, the biggest GD, the biggest blood. I want the grandmama, somebody there from law enforcement. I want working people. I just want to put the damn camera, step back and have it. Because I don't know the damn answers. I'm not in their neighborhood. I don't live in Roxbury. So I don't know the answer. You understand what I'm trying to say? But I know that the one thing that I had on in my youth that I don't see these youth have is a connection with other ages. You know, now people want to talk about segregation. Segregation is happening in ages. Black, white, Puerto Rican, don't matter. All the young people are together. All the middle-aged people are together. All the old people together. And they damn near don't like each other. You know what I'm saying? They all got a thing to say, all them that, all them that. So, you know, where it used to be, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to dump on anybody's idea what they think racism is, but where it used to be these things divided by color lines and all of that, these things are now being divided by ages. And so the young people, my mission for this project is that the young people are not being hurt. People don't know that they're hurting. They blame it on them. And they're going through stuff. Oh, they just don't want it. It's like my peers. My peers say the same thing. Oh, I don't really mess with them young rappers because they don't want to listen. No, you ain't talking. And that's what I feel. I feel like we ostracized them and they had to go off and do their own thing. Same thing with hip hop. You could be mad at Finesse 2 Times. You could be mad at Key Glock. You could be mad at them, but we put them out and they left to their own devices. Are their own devices great? Probably not. But their audience don't know the difference. I'm looking at, you know, a couple of these little battle things that's going on. And to me, the most interesting one, which is sad, is the Chris Brown thing, the little Migos boy, right? And the Migos boy puts out something yesterday, and his fans is thinking it's fire. But people who really know rap is like, oh, that's corny. But his swell is going to be crazy because, like I say, he left to his own devices. He got his own fan base. Them people didn't like Chris Brown anyway. You know what I mean? So it's just an interesting situation. But yeah, we want to do as much as we can. I've told my team this. I tell everybody this. My focus is much more on the movement than it is the music. I think the music might be the easiest thing to make. But the movement is important to me. I want to talk to all of the people that's doing what I call the real work, the people that's doing the food kitchens, the people that's working with addicts, the people that's working with people, you know, young people when they just come home and helping them get a job. Like those are the people I'm interested in, the people who are trying to develop systems, programs, whatever you want to call them, to help people stop self-destruction in their lives and uplift themselves. And if we can align with them and be the soundtrack to what they do, then goal will be accomplished.
Salute to you on that one.
Thank you.
I want to flip to the opposite side of the spectrum, the CB4 soundtrack.
Right.
So you go from, you know, talking all this positive stuff, you make this record, you know, and self-destruction movement and all that. What's it like to do parody rap?
Well, I think it's what I said earlier, which is I'm glad you asked it now, right? Because I think it's what I said earlier, right? I think as an adult, we could move into this role like an actor. So doing the CB4 stuff, I didn't even write that stuff. Chris Rock wrote it. You know what I mean? But it was like Nelson again. Shout out, second time. Shout out to Nelson George, because Nelson George was like, Daddy-O is the one to get. Like he's gonna be the one to get. And it was supposed to be me and Easy E, but Easy couldn't do it, so High C did it. You know what I mean? But it was supposed to be like me and Easy E. And yeah, I mean, I understood it for what it was, because at the same time that I'm doing this, they're showing me dailies. So it wasn't like I did the record and didn't know like what the movie was going to be like. You know what I mean? And, so yeah, I thought it was funny. I mean, I'm not a big comedy fan. Like I'm not a guy. Like there's two things I'm not really into is like comedy and documentaries. Like they don't. I'm Columbo. I'm Law and Order. Like, give me that. You know what I mean? Like I don't really want the rest of that stuff. I do like certain kind of documents. Like I'm intrigued. I'm about to be on the 3rd episode of this James Brown Say It Loud. Oh my God, this thing is so crazy. Like I'm gonna post on my Instagram. Like this is a must watch. And I wish I could make the letters super big. Like this is a must watch for like every artist. Like everybody that wants to do this music thing needs to watch this James Brown Say It Loud thing. But so that intrigues me. I'm still waiting. I got it sitting on my computer. I haven't watched it yet. The Greatest Night in Pop. That it's like the making of We Are the World. Everybody says that's good, but I'm not really a documentary guy or a comedy guy. But I will contribute, and I'm an artist in every right? So doing that was just like, it's fun, because sometimes people get mad about people, oh, ghostwriting. Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's mad fun to perform something that you did right. You know what I mean? And make it sound right. You know what I mean? Like because when you do it and you do it convincingly enough, people think you wrote it anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's just like an amazing thing, because, you end up getting all of these props from something that basically you just performed. And that is, like I said, it's very likened into an actor. Like somebody else wrote that script, but like once Denzel lays it down, he didn't write none of those words. But once he lays it down and does his thing, all you team Denzel right now. You're not team the writer. You know what I'm saying? You're not even probably looking to see who wrote it or directed it, because the director is probably even more important than the writer, because he's the one kind of making sure that it's being acted out right. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, CB4 was a whole bunch of fun, and that was at a time where I'm gonna just say this. That was at a time where I liked LA.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You say, I read you a quote, and we'll wrap up soon here, but, even after all these years, I'm better than I ever been.
Yeah. So
quoted saying that.
So this is what happened. In 2016, I picked up the mic again. I got a record. I got like 4 unreleased albums, probably moving on to 5 and 6, but I got like 4 unreleased albums that, and one of my albums is called Duets. And every record is just me and a girl. So I got a record with a girl called Ultimate, a girl named Tony Steele. Shout out to Tony Steele out of New York, dope rapper. You can look her up. Stelle, like the way General Steele spells his Toni. And it's called Ultimatum. On that record, she is the voice of hip hop, and I answer. And she talks about how we were close, how we did things together. I really don't want to leave you, but there's something there, right? And I come back, and then basically that record Ultimatum basically describes the quote, because I come back and I start talking about how I came to this realization that the stupidest thing I could have ever done is to stop rapping. And so now I'm rapping again, and I know as much as I love Fire, as much as I love In Full Gear, as much as I love Blood, Sweat, No Tears. And as much as I love that 1993 album, You Can Be a Daddy, but not a Daddy-O. I can't be that guy. It's 2016. Don't nobody want to hear me screaming. Don't nobody want to hear that old cadence. Don't nobody want to do. So I had to figure out how to get better, and then I used to my advantage. I would say advantage benefit both of them, right? Because I think it's two different words. The energy or the reminiscing or the back thought of two people that I really love in the music business. And one is Jimi Hendrix and one is Miles Davis. And I said to myself, if Miles was alive, would he be making new music or would he just be talking about Bitches Brew? Miles proved it because Easy Mo Bee was the last producer of Miles Davis. So Miles proved that he was moving forward because Easy Mo Bee did his last album. Okay. And then the same thing I feel about Jimmy, even though it's a long time ago. But would Jimmy go listen to Purple Haze, or would Jimmy still be coming up with new stuff? And I solidly believe in my heart of hearts that he would be coming up with new stuff. And I said, I can't be excluded because I'm a rapper. Just because I rap on record, it doesn't mean I gotta still sound the same way. And so I studied and studied. A lot of cats on record, a lot of battle rappers, just kind of seeing where it was going and kind of figured out where I was going. And then once I started seeing the kind of stuff that I was writing, I was like, I'm dope now. Like, I'm not saying I wasn't before, but maybe, I don't know how I was looking at it before, but I'm like, man, I never used to be on that you can't touch me type of thing. I never used to be. I was one of those guys. I don't want to say I'm blending in because there was some shining moments, but for lack of better terminology, I'm blending in. You know what I mean? I'm one of the guys. Everybody else is doing this. I'm one of the guys. And on top of that, I wasn't a solo artist. So, of course, Big Daddy Kane took precedence. Of course, Slick Rick as a solo artist took precedent. Of course, Rakim took precedent because they were solo artists. I'm in the confines of a group. So I can't even look at myself that way. But now, because I do things outside of Stetsasonic and I'm doing more Daddy-O records, like it's one to do that one record in 93, but it's a whole nother thing that I put out records at will now. I got 6 out. I could put out a record tomorrow if I want. You know what I mean? It's a different situation. And I just sharpen my chops. And I said it on Notes of Impression. We got a record out with Rusty Jukes called Notes of Impression. I said, I used to make songs for his parents. Now I make songs with Kendrick. Like when I first started doing this, 2016, I used to be like, I'm not making records for these kids. I'm making records for these kids' parents. And then as I sharpened my skill, by the time I did that third record, that No Tablecloths record, I was like, I ain't got to worry about these kids no more. Like, bring it on, like everybody. Like, I really don't care. You know what I mean? I mean, because you're only gonna have one Black Thought. You're only gonna have one Eminem. Probably 2 people to worry about. Them 2. Who else I gotta worry about? Maybe Jay Electronica, possibly. Ain't nobody else to worry about. Ain't nobody else that dope. And that's just real. I'm not trying to say guys are not good. Come on. They're not as good as Black Thought and Eminem. Come on. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. Y'all go rap with them guys. Them guys are gonna twist you up like a fucking pretzel. But nobody else has the Kendrick is close, but nobody else has that pretzel twisting ability. So I can hang with any of them now. You know what I mean? And that's the whole issue. Is like, that's why I know I'm better than I used to be, because I never could say that. I never would be confident saying oh, I can hang out, I can hang with Rakim, I can hang with Kane. Back then, I never would have did that. Now, so anyway.
Good stuff, Daddy-O. We're gonna wrap up. Is there anything else you want to plug or talk
No,
about?
no, you covered it all, man.
We got the new
You know,
album, Here We Go
yeah,
Again, Stetsasonic. It's on
yeah,
streaming now. It's been out for a little
yes,
bit, but now it's
yeah.
on streaming.
We got. I think we're like 3 weeks in. Record's doing well. People are loving it. We just like they just replayed the unsung. We did the unsung with VH1. That went over well. Working on the next video now. There's 5 videos. There's we started off with Now Y'all Giving Up Love. Then we did Here We Go Again. We did Handle. Oh no, we did Fallen Soldiers. We did Handled, and then the newest video that we released is featuring Rusty Jukes called Notes of Impression, and we working on the Cypher video with Marlon Reigns and Smooth Hustler now. Got a whole bunch of other videos to come off that album. I mean, it's just an album full of videos. Like, tried to do that. So yeah, pick that up. Go to our Bandcamp, go to streaming platforms. I think within the next 3 weeks, because a lot of the fans been asking about it, we'll have the vinyl and the cassette. CDs are readily available now, but a lot of people have been asking about the vinyl. So CDOT put that together, and we're waiting on that. I can't wait to see the vinyl because the sleeve is crazy. And we did lyrics inside and all of that. So can't wait.
Oh,
But yeah, we looking for, promoters, man, wake up, we want to come out and tour and all of that kind of stuff. So that's what's going on.
word. Well, thanks for your time, brother. It's nice to meet you, and all the best wishes to you too.
And I'll be in Boston probably till July.
Oh, that's right. You're out here this week. Are you doing something this week? Someone sent me something.
I've been here. Yeah, I'm speaking tomorrow. Today, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm speaking Wednesday at Southwestern. Was that Northwestern or Southwest? What is it called?
Southwest
University. Is it Southwestern University or
Northeastern?
Northeastern. Look at me. I'm
my alma mater. My alma mater.
Yeah, so I'm speaking at Northeastern. Yeah, I'm
cool.
speaking
so
at
you're out
Northeastern.
here right now. I didn't even know you.
Yeah. I've been here since the end of January.
You've been living in Boston the whole time?
No, not live. Well, I'm staying here because I got a tech company and I took a contract. So I do contract and I don't know when this thing's going to end. We just haven't.
How long are you here for?
At least July.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll be here. I know. I know I'll be here. I know at least till May, but the way it looks, I'll be here till July.
Well, that's great, man. Good to have you in our city.
So we definitely need to hook up, man. Do some food or something. Okay.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Leedz Entertainment Podcast. A very special guest, Daddy-O. Salute, brother.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Peace.